The spotlight died, the music stopped mid-note, but what Sammy Davis Jr. did in the next 7 minutes didn't just save one child's life. It revealed a secret that would haunt him forever. December 3rd, 1967. The Sands Hotel, Las Vegas. 9:47 p.m. Sammy Davis Jr. was singing Mr. Bojangles when something in the front row made him freeze. Not equipment failure, not forgotten lyrics, something that cut straight through his professional armor. A 10-year-old blind boy was crying. But these weren't tears of sadness. Frank Sinatra stood in the wings, bewildered. In 15 years of friendship, he'd never seen Sammy abandon a performance. The band played on. The audience waited. And then Sammy did something that made Frank whisper words he'd never said about anyone. That man is a saint. But what did Sammy see that night? What made the king of cool break every rule of Vegas show business? Bobby Peterson had lived his entire life in absolute darkness. Born blind, he'd never seen his mother's face, never watched a sunset, never known what light looked like. But Bobby possessed something most sighted people never develop. He could hear souls through sound. His parents, Tom and Linda, had worked double shifts for 2 years to afford this trip, not for themselves, for Bobby. One perfect night for their son to hear his hero perform live. What they didn't know was Bobby's recurring dream. For months, he'd dreamed of a man with a golden voice reaching down from brightness and touching his face. In the dream, Bobby could suddenly see everything clearly. Tonight, that dream was about to become reality in ways nobody could imagine. Sammy glided across the stage with his trademark smoothness when Bobby caught his attention. The boy wasn't waving or shouting like other fans. He sat perfectly motionless, tears streaming down his cheeks. Here's what stopped Sammy cold. Those tears came from pure, overwhelming joy. In 30 years of performing, Sammy had never witnessed anyone experience music the way Bobby Peterson was experiencing it. The boy's entire being absorbed every note, every breath, every heartbeat of the song. He wasn't just hearing the melody, he was feeling the man behind it. That's when Sammy's buried memories exploded back. Suddenly, he was 7 years old again, standing outside a segregated theater in Alabama where his father performed. White children sat inside in comfort. Little Sammy pressed his ear against the cold brick wall, straining to catch the music that kept him alive. Back then, nobody noticed the colored boy in the alley. Nobody stopped their show for a child standing in the dirt. But tonight was different. Tonight, Sammy held the power to stop. The music faded into silence. The confused band watched their leader walk to the stage edge and kneel down. "What's your name, son?" Bobby's parents panicked. Tom Peterson began apologizing, but Sammy raised his hand gently. "It's okay. What's your name?" "Bobby," the boy whispered. "How old are you, Bobby?" 10. "It's my birthday today." Sammy felt his heart crack open. "Happy birthday, Bobby. Are you enjoying the show?" "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." Those simple, honest words hit Sammy like lightning. Here was a child who had never seen anything, calling his music the most beautiful experience of his life. But what happened next would haunt Frank Sinatra for decades. "Bobby, would you like to come up here and sing with me?" The audience gasped. This wasn't how Las Vegas operated. You didn't invite random children on stage. You didn't break the barrier between performer and audience. You didn't risk everything for one moment of human connection. Bobby's father started protesting. "Mr. Davis, he can't." "I can," Bobby declared firmly. For the first time all evening, his voice carried strength. "I can sing." Sammy reached down and took Bobby's hand. As they climbed onto the stage together, Frank Sinatra experienced something he hadn't felt in 20 years, the overwhelming urge to weep. Why? What about this moment shattered the walls around Frank's hardened heart? Because Frank witnessed something unprecedented in Sammy's eyes. Not the polished performer, not the entertainer trying to prove himself worthy. For the first time ever, Frank saw Sammy's naked soul, raw, vulnerable, completely authentic. "Bobby's going to help me with the next song," Sammy announced to the stunned audience. "Bobby, do you know the Candy Man?" "Yes, sir. I know every song you've ever recorded." "Wonderful. But first, tell me something. What do you see when you hear music?" Bobby tilted his head thoughtfully. I see colors that don't exist. I see people dancing in places that aren't real. I see pure happiness. Show me, Sammy whispered. What unfolded next defied everything anyone understood about performance, entertainment, or the distance between star and audience. Bobby began singing, not professionally trained, not technically perfect, but with such purity that 20,400 people fell into complete silence. His voice was clear and fearless and absolutely sacred. He wasn't performing. He was sharing his innermost treasure. Then Bobby did something that shocked everyone watching. He reached out tentatively, searching for Sammy's face. "May I?" he whispered. Sammy knelt and allowed Bobby's small fingers to explore his features. The boy's hands moved gently across Sammy's cheeks, nose, and forehead, like reading a map to somewhere he'd always wanted to visit. "You're crying too," Bobby observed softly. "Yes, I am." "Why?" Sammy gazed out at 2,400 mesmerized faces, all silent, all witnessing something they'd remember forever. "Because you just showed me what I've been searching for my entire life." "What's that?" "How to truly see." The audience exploded into applause. But this wasn't appreciation for entertainment. This was recognition. A moment when two human souls found each other across an impossible divide. Frank Sinatra still, watching from the wings, breathed the words that would become legend. "That man is a saint." The story doesn't end with applause. It continues with Sammy's next action. He reached into his jacket and withdrew his personal harmonica, a silver Hohner that had accompanied him through every performance, every recording, every triumph and heartbreak of his career. "Bobby, I want to give you something precious. This has been my companion for 20 years, but I believe it belongs with you now." Bobby's hands shook as he accepted the instrument. "I can't take this, Mr. Davis. It's too valuable." "That's precisely why you should have it," Sammy replied, "because you understand what truly valuable means." Here's what nobody in that audience realized. This moment was transforming Sammy as profoundly as it was changing Bobby. For years, Sammy had performed behind emotional barriers. Fame had constructed them. Success had reinforced them. The pressure to prove himself to white America had sealed them permanently. But Bobby Peterson, with his sightless eyes and pure heart, had discovered the way through. After the show, Sammy sat in his dressing room, trembling. Frank found him there an hour later. "Sam, in 40 years of show business, I've never witnessed anything like that." "It wasn't a performance, Frank. It was just real." "You know what you are?" Frank said, his voice carrying unusual gravity. "You're a saint." "Come on, Frank." "I'm serious. Saints don't create miracles. They recognize them. Tonight, you recognized that boy's miracle and allowed him to recognize yours." 6 months later, Sammy received a letter that changed everything he thought he knew about success. Bobby had joined his church choir. He was taking formal music lessons. He was considering becoming a music teacher. The harmonica had given him something he'd never possessed: confidence in his own worth. More importantly, Bobby's parents wrote, their son had become an advocate for other disabled children. He'd established a music program at his school. He was using the voice Sammy had helped him discover to help others find theirs. "You didn't merely give him an instrument," Linda Peterson wrote. "You gave him permission to believe in himself." Years later, when Bobby Peterson graduated from college with a music education degree, he sent Sammy a photograph. It showed Bobby surrounded by 20 children, some blind, some deaf, some facing other challenges, all holding instruments, all smiling radiantly. On the back, Bobby had written, "You taught me that everyone carries music inside them. Now I help other children find their songs." Sammy kept that photograph on his dressing room mirror throughout his remaining career. Before each show, he would study it and remember what truly mattered. When Sammy Davis Jr. died in 1990, Bobby Peterson was among thousands attending his funeral. During the service, Bobby stood and played Mr. Bojangles on the silver harmonica Sammy had given him 23 years earlier. In his eulogy, Bobby captured the essence of that magical night. "Sammy Davis Jr. taught me that the greatest performances happen not when we're impressing people, but when we're connecting with them. He showed me that everyone deserves to feel seen. Sometimes, 7 minutes of genuine attention can change a life forever." The harmonica now resides in the Smithsonian. But its real legacy isn't behind museum glass. It lives in thousands of students Bobby taught during his 40-year career. It continues in the music therapy programs he founded. It persists in countless moments when someone chooses to truly see another human being. That's the complete story of the night Sammy Davis Jr. stopped his Vegas show for a blind boy. It's about more than one act of kindness. It's about how that moment created ripples still spreading today. Sometimes the greatest performance of your life isn't the one earning the loudest applause. Sometimes it's the one reminding everyone what being truly human means. But there's something else about that night, something rarely discussed, something revealing the deepest truth about why Sammy stopped his show. 3 hours before performing, Sammy had received devastating news. His son had been in a car accident. Nothing fatal, but serious enough for extended hospitalization. Sammy had wanted to cancel everything. Frank Sinatra convinced him to perform. The show must go on, that's who we are. But Sammy's heart wasn't engaged. He could only think about his injured child lying in a hospital bed while he entertained strangers. That's why Bobby Peterson affected him so powerfully. When Sammy saw that vulnerable, trusting boy, he saw his own son. He saw every child needing protection, needing someone to notice them. But here's the heartbreaking truth. Bobby Peterson reminded Sammy of himself, not the successful version, the 7-year-old who had been ignored, overlooked, dismissed. That night, Sammy wasn't just giving Bobby a spotlight moment. He was giving his own inner child the recognition he'd never received. Sometimes, Sammy reflected years later, you meet someone needing exactly what you needed at their age. Bobby Peterson's parents harbored a secret. They'd brought Bobby to Las Vegas as a desperate final attempt. Doctors had warned that Bobby might never develop normal social abilities. Some specialists suggested institutionalization. They never imagined one perfect moment would transform everything. Following that night, Bobby flourished. The confidence Sammy instilled transformed him completely. He began talking more, laughing more, engaging enthusiastically with the world. The transformation extended beyond Bobby. Everyone witnessing the event changed. Sarah Mitchell, a jazz musician in the audience struggling with depression, was inspired by Sammy's kindness to volunteer at children's hospitals, eventually discovering her calling as a music therapist. From that night forward, something fundamental shifted in Sammy's performances. He became more present, more connected. Critics noticed. Davis has discovered new depth, wrote the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Bobby Peterson's story became entertainment industry legend. But for Sammy, real validation came 7 years later. Bobby was 17, planning to major in music education. He wrote Sammy, "You taught me that being different doesn't mean being less. You showed me that everyone offers something beautiful. Most importantly, you demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful action is simply noticing someone feeling invisible." When Bobby became a teacher, he displayed Sammy's harmonica prominently in his classroom. He would tell students, "Everyone carries music within them. Sometimes they need someone to help them discover it." One student was Angela, born with cerebral palsy, convinced she'd never excel at anything. Bobby spent extra time with her, teaching simple melodies on Sammy's precious harmonica. Angela became a music therapist herself, specializing in helping disabled children. She often credited her calling to the day her teacher allowed her to hold Sammy Davis Jr.'s harmonica. When Sammy died in 1990, Bobby played Mr. Bojangles one final time on the silver harmonica. He wasn't playing for Sammy. He was playing for every overlooked child, every person needing someone to notice them. The music filled the church, and momentarily everyone understood what Sammy always knew. True greatness isn't about fame or success. It's about recognizing light in others and helping them see it themselves. Years passed. The story became movement. Bobby's program expanded into the Sammy Davis Jr. Foundation, serving thousands. Angela, Bobby's former student, became director, preserving Sammy's harmonica alongside hundreds of donated instruments. Every instrument represents someone who chose to stop and notice. In 2017, Bobby returned to Vegas. Now 60, he spoke where the Sands once stood. 50 years ago, a man chose to see me instead of looking past me. In the audience sat Sophie, a girl born without arms, feeling invisible like Bobby once did. Following Bobby's speech, Sophie's mother brought her backstage. Bobby knelt down. "Everyone has music inside them. Sometimes they need someone to help them find it." "But I can't play instruments," Sophie said. "Music isn't just in your hands. It's in your heart," Bobby replied. offering her a voice synthesizer. Sophie discovered she could create complex rhythms vocally. She began performing, eventually touring with orchestras. She always introduced herself. I learned everyone has music inside them from a teacher who learned it from Sammy Davis Jr. The ripples continued spreading. Daily teachers worldwide remembered Bobby's story and chose to see invisible children. When Bobby retired, former students celebrated him. They shared stories of passing on Sammy's lesson. Angela spoke last. You taught me my differences were strengths. Every day I try hearing what others miss. Surveying all the transformed lives, she said. Sammy would be proud of what his 7 minutes created. Bobby smiled, remembering the harmonica always. I hope so. The music plays on, and in that continuity lies the miracle of that December night. It wasn't stopping a show or giving a harmonica. It was understanding every moment offers the choice to see or look away. Sammy made that choice in 7 minutes. But the song continues in every classroom where Bobby taught, every session Angela led, every performance where Sophie sang. It plays on in every teacher who notices the quiet child. It echoes in every performer who connects rather than entertains. It resonates in everyone who stops. That's the true legacy,